Shane Robbins, and I'm the superintendent of the Northwestern Consolidated School District of Shelby County. This afternoon, I'm very pleased to share with you our 2015 edition of our State of the Corporation. Here's the agenda I'd like to cover, pretty similar to what I've done in years past, but some key items that I'd like to share with our patrons and our community. The first one being enrollment trends in our district. The second being our financial picture and as it translates into our general fund budget. And I'm going to provide you with a 6-year comparison of where we were and where we are. Indiana's A to F grading system and how our schools fared in terms of their school letter grades this year that were issued by the Indiana Department of Education. Several district accolades and accomplishments. There are many, many more, but I'm just going to touch on some of the highlights, current and future projects that are taking place within our district, and then just some concluding comments. So let's start out by looking at our corporation enrollment. Our corporation enrollment is particularly important to us because it really is the basis for the funding that we receive from the state of Indiana for our school district. But if you look, in 2009-10, we had roughly 1,554 students and some capacity that attended Triton Central Schools, and we had seen a significant decline, which is not unusual for rural school districts, over the course of the last several years. However, if you look at our enrollment for 2014-15, this school year, we've seen at least a slowing down of that declining enrollment trend, and actually we grew a couple students versus where we were last year at this time. So we're sitting at roughly 1,447 students today that are enrolled in Triton Central Schools. You know, the other important piece of that is if you decline too rapidly, it does become very difficult, not only from a financial standpoint, but also from a standpoint of offering certain programs to students, and we want to do our very best to maintain the programming that we currently offer here at Triton Central Schools. Like I said, the students does translate into a big portion of our financial picture. And again, I do this every year with the buckets of money that exist within a school budget. And so if you'll indulge me, I'd like to do that again this afternoon. But there are 5 major funds in which we work out of in a school district. And these funds are the general fund. And the general fund is the one fund in which we receive our money from the state. It's raised not by local taxes, but by state taxes. They look at our enrollment and they give us X amount of dollars based on the number of students that attend our district. There's some other factors that are calculated in there in terms of complexity that go along with the foundation formula that's a part of the general fund, or what we call a basic grant. But all in all, it's based on the number of students in your district. The second fund that we work out of is our debt service fund, and that's a fund that's generated by local property taxes, and it helps us pay for any bond issues that we have for renovations of buildings, some buildings that we're still currently paying on, and major projects in which we try to improve and enhance our facilities. The third fund that we work out of is our capital projects fund. Again, that's derived from local property taxes, and that fund is the fund in which we do our routine and our perpetual maintenance plans out of, whether it's painting, resealing parking lots, or some certain equipment is purchased out of there, whether it's technology related equipment or classroom equipment. Our fourth fund is our transportation fund, and again, another local property tax generated fund, and it's the fund that allows us to maintain our buses, purchase of fuel, and then the employees that work in the transportation department are paid out of that fund. And then our final fund is pretty self-explanatory, but it's our bus replacement fund, and we are on a 12-year bus replacement cycle, so every 12 years 2 of our buses at this point are being replaced every year to stay on that cycle. So really the most important fund, which is easily 3/4 of our complete operating budget, is our general fund. It's the one that pays for a majority of our salaries and benefits, and allows us to provide the programming that we offer at Triton Central. Because of the declining enrollment that we've experienced over the years, our budget, we've been in a deficit financing budget for looks like 3 out of the last 6 years. We do our very best to make sure that we're staffing and that our staffing reflects our enrollment and the needs that we have. Again, we've tried to manage that so that we can maintain a healthy cash balance. In case we had a severe need within our district, we'd be able to, pay for that expense. But as you can see, we've been able to do this without really reducing staff. We have seen an attrition of staff, but we've been able to maintain the programs and the staffing at the levels that we're comfortable with. And in 2014, which ended December 31st of this year, we had finally seen a growth in our general fund cash balance versus 2 consecutive years of deficit financing. Not a whole lot of money, but again, at the end of the day, as we stand today, our cash balance in the general fund is about $1.18 million, which is about 12 to 13% of our overall operating budget. The Indiana Association of School Business Officials recommends that you maintain anywhere from an 8.5% to a 14% cash balance in that fund in times of crisis, if they would occur. So financially, we are being very cautious and very cognizant and trying to be very good stewards of the taxpayer dollar, making sure that, again, we're offering the programs to our students that we've always offered and trying to even expand upon them, staying in the 21st century in terms of our instructional strategies in our classrooms, and maintaining the facilities that for years have been a large investment of the community. And this is just a quick slide to kind of show you this pie chart reflects where our general fund dollars go, and a majority of our general fund dollars, you can see in this pie chart, go to salaries. We do have retirement benefits that we have to pay out of that for both public employees and teacher retirement funds. We also have, obligations in terms of insurance, then utilities. We can't pay all of our utilities, such as our electric and our gas and our phone, out of capital projects. So part of our utilities come out of the general fund as well, and then just a small little segment for other. So the fun part of the brief, now that I've talked to you a little bit about where we are financially, and again, before I move into student achievement, I would just tell you I'm very pleased with how supportive our employees are of trying to be very cognizant and good stewards of the taxpayer dollar, and it's allowed us to maintain what I would consider to be stable cash balances in all 5 of our operating funds. So A to F, but for those of you who are somewhat new to education, those of you who have had students in school before and watched my presentation, I try to give you just a real quick overview of what the A to F law is, and really it's the Public Law 221 that was passed back in 1999, and it requires us to grade our schools. It's not just an Indiana law. There is federal regulations that require each state to have a way to rate and grade their schools in order for them to receive federal dollars. And the federal dollars that we receive in the state of Indiana is somewhere around the range of $200 million. And that money that we receive is all of our title funding money and some different monies. But anyhow, in Indiana, we have an A through F system, and A was the old PL 221 exemplary. B is commendable. If you receive a letter grade of C, it represents that you're on academic progress. A D, academic watch, and then obviously F is academic probation. So how have Triton Central Schools done historically, and how are we doing currently? Well, when I arrived at the district, we had a vision of being an exemplary school district, and we have worked really hard the last 3 years to try to achieve that. But if you look at historically where we've been since 2009, the elementary school has been a very um, respected and high achieving school district, but just couldn't get over the hump, and had received a B the last 4 straight years. Now, our most recent grade, which was released this fall, they received an A exemplary grade. If you look at the middle schools have seen some success. They are working off their second consecutive A exemplary rating from the Indiana Department of Education. The high school, back in 2009, was on academic probation, and I'm proud to say that they're on their second consecutive year of receiving an A exemplary rating. And then the district has been up and down. This year we were blessed to receive an A exemplary rating. So we've achieved our goal, and it's like I shared with our staff. Sometimes the ability to stay on top is a little more difficult than the climb itself, and so we have our challenges to continue to strive to maintain an A exemplary status in each building and in the district in the years to come. But again, we do have very dedicated and hardworking employees and very supportive patrons in our community, and I have no doubt that we're going to be able to achieve that. I wanted to throw a slide out there, and this by no means represents all the great things that have happened at Triton Central in the last 12 months, but there are some pretty significant accomplishments that we have achieved this last 12 months as a district in each of our buildings, and I wanted to share some of those with you, and I encourage you to go to our website and go to each building's website and look at some of the great things that are happening within our schools. But of course, the first thing I'd share with you is all 3 buildings were the recipient of an A exemplary status award from the Indiana Department of Education. At the high school, they also received a 4-star rating from the DOE this last year. Our marching band has been a state finalist, and just recently, the indoor percussion ensemble just finished second in the state of Indiana. Our girls soccer team was a semi-state qualifier, ranked in the top 10 in the state of Indiana. Our football team won the sectional and finished the regular season ranked number 3 in the state of Indiana in Class 2A. Our boys basketball team tied the school record for wins this year and finished the year at 21-4, winning the county, and finished the season ranked 7th in the state. Our girls basketball team continues to excel, finished at 23-2 this year. They were county champions, sectional champions, and finished the season ranked 3rd in the state as well. So I think that says a lot about the good things that are going on in that building. You know, our middle school, and they have a long list of individual accomplishments, but just as a building, the last 12 months with their A exemplary status, they were also named a national school to watch by the Indiana Middle Level Education Association. Again, all 3 buildings were recipients of the Rockstar Award for Achievement from a group called Edmentum that provides digital curriculum and digital software solutions. If you look at the elementary school, our elementary school, again, an A exemplary building. The archery team just this past weekend qualified for nationals. They too were a recipient of the Rockstar for Achievement Award, and they've been named a Play 60 Super School by the Indianapolis Colts. So lots and lots of great things that are going on in our district. And again, I can't tell you how much we appreciate the support we receive from our community, and I think that has a lot to do with what we're able to achieve as a school community. The next piece, as the superintendent, I feel like it's my responsibility to, work with our community, but also work very closely with the board to make sure that we are maintaining facilities that are pleasing to you and are well representative of what we stand for here at Triton Central. And we have spent the last few years working really hard to bring our buildings up to date, make them 21st century learning platforms. Currently, we're in the middle of a renovation project at the elementary school. It's not going to get us where we want to be, but it's definitely a start in terms of giving a facelift to that building and providing nice, up-to-date class learning environments and classrooms for our staff and our students. We have just recently completed an installation of security cameras in the middle school and the high school, including the bus barn and the perimeter of our campus to provide a more safe and secure environment. And that project will continue on as we work our way into the elementary school once certain pieces of that project are completed. Future projects that we're looking at, we're in discussion right now, the board and myself, with an architect on what a renovation project at the middle school will look like, and trying to bring some of those areas up to speed and renovated to provide the atmosphere that we're looking for with the programs that we're now offering in that facility. We're also discussing the importance of adding on a main entrance into the high school, both from an energy efficiency standpoint, but also aesthetics. As you enter our facility from the road, if you're a visitor, it's sometimes difficult to tell where the actual entrance of the high school is. It would give us an opportunity to do that. We're discussing ways to provide increased parking. If you're from the community and you've been out here, especially in the spring and the fall, in the evening, it's a very, very busy campus. With the addition of our field house in the last 12 months and all the activities that take place out here, sometimes parking can be at a premium, and so we're trying to expand our parking to provide more and easier access for our patrons. And currently, in terms of our project, we're evaluating what the modifying how we could possibly modify the school start and end times, based on research where a little bit later start time is more beneficial for our teenage students. And so we're seeing how that might work and how that would fit into our transportation cycle. And hopefully we'll have recommendations to bring to the board later this spring, but giving you plenty of time to plan if we do modify that. And finally, this is kind of the easy part in conclusion. I'd just like to say that if you look at the little graphic there on the right, our goal is to be an exemplary school district, and we believe there are certain components that must exist for that to happen. And rigor, relevance in the classroom, and the relationships our staff have with their students, but the relationships that we have with our patrons and our community members as well. We want to be a data-driven instruction body, so making sure that we make decisions that are in the best interest of our students and our community based on the data that we're observing and evaluating. Quality, continuous improvement. This staff has been very dedicated to our Delayed Start Wednesdays and our professional learning communities, understanding that it's not the initiative that creates or fosters positive change, but it's that dedication to continuing to get better and better at everything we do, and then making sure student data is at the center of our focus. But at Triton Central Schools, I'm just going to read this. We've received a tremendous number of accolades in the last several months. And again, none of this is possible without the support we receive from our community, our patrons, our staff, and then again, most importantly, our students. So it's because of you that we can continue to work to make our school not only the best district in Shelby County, but the best rural school district in the state of Indiana. So we can't thank you enough for the support you continue to give us as we strive to provide you with a product that you can be proud of. And then this final slide is just a slide that gives you links to our web pages. I encourage you to follow me on Twitter. All of our buildings and our district have a Facebook page where we try to disseminate as much information as possible and share the good news that's taking place in our district. And for those of you who are heading out on spring break, I hope you have a great spring break, safe travels. We look forward to the next 2 weeks with a little time to recover as we continue to do some work here on the campus. And then it's going to be a rush and a sprint to the finish of the 2014-15 school year. But we thank you again for your support in our efforts in the community. Have a great day.